Welcome back to Luna Yogini channel. Today it's gonna be an informative video about the do's and don'ts in South Korea. In every country there are certain social norms, culture and customs. Today we are going to learn about the things in Korea which will help you to be respectful and polite to the people in Korea, and also so that you wouldn't be misunderstood in any situation. So now let's start with the do's. The first is be punctual. In South Korea, people have a really fast life, so we value time a lot. For example, if you have an appointment with someone, you should make sure that you get there 10 or 15 minutes earlier to the meeting.
So that is like a basic courtesy. We never get late. We try to go beforehand so that we don't get late.
The next is, it would be really nice if you would bow along with the sentence 안녕하세요. That is the way of saying hello or namaste in Korea. When you are in Korea, you'll see people saying hi like 안녕하세요. So that is our gesture while greeting someone. Even for a casual hi, which is 안녕, we don't bow with 안녕 because it's more casual, but we kind of give a slight nod. 안녕.
안녕. Keep these little things in mind.
And the next is be respectful to the elderly. You might be thinking we are respectful to our elders wherever we are, and that is very true. But in Korea, be extra polite and respectful to the elderly. We give a lot of priority to our elders. So while in Korea, try to be nice, gentle, and polite to them. For example, while we are waiting in the waiting room or in the subway or in the bus, if you see there are no seats and one elderly has come in, what we usually do is we get up and offer them our seat. It's a really nice gesture if you could do that. One more example for the elderly is if, for example, you're having a meal, wait until the eldest person starts eating and then start eating. Next, in Korea, offer something in this gesture. Offer something and receive something in this gesture. You put one hand out and one hand underneath and you offer or you receive it in the same way. I have seen some Nepali and Gorkha friends in India doing the same gesture, and I was like, wow, same like Korea. But I think many of you might not be used to this. So if you're not, and if you forget this gesture, then what you do is, remember, it's always safe to use both your hands. Give and receive with both your hands. And the next is, if a Korean invites you to their home, remember that you have to take off your shoes before entering their house, alright? Because usually we Koreans, we don't wear shoes inside our home. When you enter the house, you can see a space right next to the door where we keep our shoes. So you take off your shoes, make sure it's nicely arranged. Don't just keep them randomly. Keep them in a row and then enter the house. The next, another thing which you need to remember if you get an invitation from a Korean family, when you go there as a guest, we usually don't know what to do, right? In Korea, we don't just sit there, but we lend a helping hand. For example, you can help them to lay the spoons and chopsticks on the table, or you could shift the food on the table. If you really don't know what you could do, then you can ask them, how may I help you? And they would be really appreciative of this gesture. And the last for the do's is, please learn a bit of basic Korean sentences and also read about the history and culture of Korea before going to Korea. This would be very helpful for your own experience in Korea. You would be able to feel the culture better. You would be able to connect with the people better. You would be able to communicate with the people of Korea. Now let's begin with the don'ts in South Korea.
I got got some props.
Don't ever stick your chopstick into your bowl. It won't stand, there's nothing. But if there is rice inside, don't poke it in and stick it inside and keep it that way. You should always, whatever you eat after eating, keep your spoon or chopsticks right beside your bowl or your plate. In Korea, this is a big no, okay? And always put them straight. Always align them right beside your eating plate or bowl.
When I was little, I wanted to impress my aunties and my mom, and I wanted to make the fruit bowl salad aesthetic. And I stuck those small forks all over the plate like this for everyone. And then they were like, oh, and they took them out, you know, they just took them out and kept it. I gradually learned that you shouldn't put anything sticking inside the food.
And I guess that's how Korean children learn their customs. The next is, don't ever don't ever blow your nose in public spaces or while you eat with other people in Korea. You might have noticed that in the West, it is deemed to be impolite if you keep on slurping in your mucus while eating. So people usually blow them out, whether they're eating or in their office or wherever they are. But in Korea, we keep these things private, and of course, it's not appealing, but we usually blow our nose inside the toilet or in your room. We don't usually blow it out while having a meal with other people or in a public space. And the next is, don't ever write somebody's name in red ink. Okay, red anything, because in Korea red is kind of like the color which calls death. Yes, so
in Korea we never ever write a name in red color.
Contrasting to this, I have observed in India that many people here like writing their names in red. And once my friend wrote my name in this color.
And I was like, hey, do you look at me? Do you want to kill me? Or something? And she was, what? What are you even saying?
She explained it to me that red is deemed to be an auspicious color in India.
So that's why they write the names, especially in red, so that it brings good luck and fortune.
And I was like, wow, that's totally the opposite to Korea. So these things are really interesting. What is good in one country is terrible in another country. So yeah. And the next is, don't talk too loudly in public spaces.
Yes, you heard me right.
In Korea, we don't talk loudly. Yeah, we don't do all of this in the public spaces. Of course you can, to a point. It's not like restricted, no laughing, no talking in public spaces. You can talk, you can laugh, but we try to be respectful that other people are there. So we will try to respect their space even while being in a public area.
Like right now, I am in my own home, my private space, so it's alright to be loud, and I am a very loud person.
But while in Korea, in public spaces, I try to maintain a lower tone. Yes. The next is, don't take pictures of the locals without their permission. Yes, people in Korea feel a bit more sensitive towards their pictures being taken. So before you click, just ask them once, is it alright if I do? That would be quite polite. I guess this is a universal thing. Wherever we are, I think it's much more polite to ask before we take somebody's picture. One interesting fact. In Korea, all of our mobile phone cameras, we don't have the silent mode. And this this was made for the prevention of the misuse of cameras. I bought my iPhone in Korea and I don't have the silent mode, and sometimes it's irritating because I don't want to hear the sound. But yeah, so next time I'm thinking to buy my iPhone in India.
Yeah, because I wouldn't misuse my camera for such things, right?
The next is, in Korea, you don't necessarily need to tip. In a restaurant or in a cafe, you just pay for the meal or the beverage and go. Yes, we don't have a tipping culture.
Never, ever, ever, ever
Sit in the priority seats or seats kept for pregnant women. In Korea, we have special priority seats for the elderly, for the physically challenged or pregnant women. For these seats, we stay away from them. If you are fit, if you are fine, even when nobody is there, don't sit in those seats. Alright, now next, we are going to talk about the drinking culture in Korea. Yes, Korean people love drinking. There are certain things which you should keep in mind in order to be polite, even while drinking together. So if you're drinking with a person, not your friend, but an acquaintance, or if they are elder to you, be it your senior or your uncle, aunt, anyone, in Korea, when we receive drink from them, they'll pour it for you, and then we don't drink it face to face like this. What we do is we turn to the side, cover your mouth and the glass, and then drink.
Yes, and then when you're done, you face to the front.
And the next thing is, in Korea, we don't want to see any empty glass. So if you see somebody's glass empty, you pour for them right away. At no moment you would want to see an empty glass. So in the same way, if your glass is empty, somebody would definitely offer you and pour for you. So in Korea, we don't usually pour our drink by ourselves. The next is, don't ever call somebody by their first name. I mean, yes, of course in Korea we call our friends by their first name. But if you don't know the person very well, or if they're elder to you, then do ask them.
How should I call you?
That is the best way possible to be polite. And the last don't is, in Korea, we don't usually talk informally to acquaintances or people who are elder to us.
Yeah, of course, for this point, you guys need to learn the Korean language.
But I will give you an idea. For example, there is a word called 고마워. It means thanks in the casual way. 고마워. We can say that to a friend or someone younger to us, but the formal way to say it is 고마워요. Another word, 잘 지냈어, is asking, have you been well? And then the formal way is 잘 지냈어요. So you can notice that yo is getting added and it becomes the respectful form of the sentence. So in Korea, just keep in mind that usually at the end of a sentence, we add yo to make it formal, to make it respectful. And we usually use these formal sentences to elders. Not in every informal sentence, if you just add a yo, it makes sense. For example, 안녕 is informal hi, but then you might be thinking, I can just add the yo with 안녕 and it will become formal. 안녕요. But no, it doesn't. It's actually 안녕하세요. There are derivatives, there are different ways that sentences are formed. So not always a yo makes it a perfect formal sentence. But even if you say 안녕요, I think the Korean person would understand that you're just trying to be respectful.
He or she might be thinking, oh, it's cute.
Yeah. I'm just giving you a basic idea. Just keep that in mind. The Korean sentence of the day is 한국에 같이 가자. 한국에 같이 가요. It means let's go to Korea together. So the first is the informal way. 한국에 같이 가자. And the second is the formal way. 한국에 같이 가요. I hope this video was helpful and informative. And if it was, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, stay safe, stay you, and stay beautiful. Okay.